What's up, everyone? It is Wade Patterson. I am passionate about impactful communication, and you have just landed on video number 3 of my 8-part series on how to launch a podcast. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the equipment that you need to launch a podcast. I want to start off by saying that the barrier to entry to just simply launch a podcast, you don't need any fancy equipment. You can literally record audio on your phone and take those files and upload them directly to a podcast syndication site such as Anchor, and you can have your very own podcast. But one thing you want to remember with podcasting, unlike video, you only have the sound. The sound that the audience is listening to, that's all they have. And if the audio isn't at a pretty good level, the audience might be unforgiving and not want to listen to an episode. Maybe your content is so great that you've gripped that audience and they will put up with the poor audio. But if you have smooth sounding audio, it is so much more likely that your audience will stay with you and be delighted to listen to episodes. Another thing I want to mention for all of you who are planning on interviewing other people as part of your podcast, you might be wondering, well, what if the other person doesn't have great audio equipment? One of the theories on podcasting is that the audience will be forgiving as long as the host's audio sounds good. If you think about it like the radio stations, oftentimes you have people calling in on their phones or from a landline or from their cell phone, and the reception's kind of spotty and it sounds tinny, but the audience still listens because the host microphone is so smooth and they almost expect that the guest won't have the same level of audio equipment. So it's okay if your guest isn't set up with great equipment, but it's pretty important that you are if you want to keep your audience engaged. I'm going to have some links in this video description. Some of them will be affiliate links, some of them won't. Regardless, these are pieces of equipment that have really helped me along the journey. In the last video on preparation, video number 2, I talked a little bit about some of the work I have done podcasting for the Remax Hustle podcast, and also Show Me the Crypto. And in both cases, I have used audio equipment that is pretty similar to what you're looking at right now. So let's start off with the microphone itself. It is good to use an XLR microphone. I have seen podcasts done with microphones that are USB, such as the Yeti Blue is a really popular one, and the sound quality on that is pretty good. However, sometimes there are issues with USB microphones, especially if they're plugged directly into the computer. Sometimes you almost get that humming sound coming through the mic. That was one issue that I ran into. And with an XLR microphone, I use the Audio Technica 2035. On that, you are running it through a Focusrite amp, and then that is a USB connection into the computer, and it doesn't have any issues like that. The sound quality sounds great. Doesn't it sound pretty good? Sounds good, right? Yeah? That XLR microphone is a smooth sound. So if you're going to be interviewing people in person, you might want to get 2 of these microphones, each with a microphone stand. By the way, all of the equipment I'm going to talk about today is probably around $1,000 Canadian, and that's going at a pretty high level of audio quality. So there are cheaper options, like I said. You can do it for free off of your phone if you want, but this is a way to get the audio quality to a certain level. The next thing you might want to consider getting is a pop filter. So when we talk, our P's, pizza, pop, bob, burger, so P's and B's, those words, they sound quite harsh in the microphone. And if you don't have something like a pop filter that helps filter that out, it's a lot of work in the post-production and the editing side of things to bring those sounds down. So a pop filter like this really helps eliminate that and makes the audio sound much more smooth. It clamps right onto your microphone stand, and then you can adjust with the arm here and place it wherever you want in front of your microphone. So I have the microphone, I have the microphone stand. Again, this is basic, right from Amazon, or many retailers will have basic microphone stands. you've got the pop filter, and as I mentioned before, the microphone is going into a Focusrite 2 XLR input, 1 USB output. Now the thing to know, one of the common ones that you come across when it comes to Focusrite on Amazon will only allow you to plug in 1 XLR microphone, which is fine if it's just you who's going to be podcasting or if you're going to be podcasting with people over the internet. But if you are planning those in-person interviews, make sure that there are 2 XLR mic inputs. I didn't mention the cord as well. You need an XLR cord here as well, of course, to attach from the microphone to your Focusrite. And make sure it has 2 that you can be able to plug in if you are doing in-person interviews. So that audio equipment plugs right into the computer. If I'm doing an in-person interview, I use Adobe Audition. So of course the Adobe Suite, there is a cost, a subscription cost to that. Again, there are other programs that can help you do this. You can use Audacity for recording audio. There's VLC, there's QuickTime, there's many different options that range in price. I use Adobe Audition because I like the tools that it gives me for editing the audio on a podcast. The next thing you want, which I'm not wearing right now, is you want some over-the-ear headphones. This really helps, especially when you are interviewing someone in person. It's going to give you the sound that the audience will be hearing that is very clear, so you can notice if there's a problem with the recording. It doesn't work. It's not acceptable if you're interviewing someone to not be using headphones, because you're going to have their sound coming through your computer speaker, which may then come back through the microphone and cause all sorts of issues. On our show, Show Me the Crypto, I have a co-host and we are both talking and we're both interviewing the person. And so we have to have headphones with a little headphone splitter plugged in to make sure that we are hearing the audio from the guest. Otherwise, that could be coming into both of our microphones. That is some of the base level equipment for podcasting. I do have some lighting here right now as well. And so for those of you who are wondering about starting a YouTube series and you simply want the audio to be the secondary part where you can also launch a podcast, I love the Falcon Eyes curvable, bendable lights. I will have some links down below as well. I have a couple of lights on me right now. Behind me is an RGB light that you can change the color. So it's a few other things if you want to step up your game. If you're interviewing someone and you want some cool light behind you and you want to make sure that you're lit well, there are some options there as well. If you were trying to do this on a shoestring budget, I don't want to discourage you because you don't have to spend $1,000 to start a podcast. But I simply want to give you the information because it is important to know that the audience will expect a certain level of quality from a podcast, and that can be accomplished with other microphones as well, but this is the microphone setup I use, and we have gotten some compliments about the sound of the audio in our podcast. Hopefully you can listen to it right now and appreciate that this microphone puts out pretty good sound. I hope that this video was helpful. Like I say, if it was, make sure that you check out the other videos in the series. And if you're watching this early and there aren't the other videos yet for that 8-part series, then subscribe and hit that notification bell so you are informed when the next videos, things like how do you conduct a great interview, how do you write a script, how do you syndicate your podcast, all of those things you want to find out for the future. So make sure and check those out. Otherwise, they will be in the playlist as part of this video. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the others in the series on how you launch a podcast.